In audio, 3,
Jeremiah,
2, 1, you're live.
Welcome to the Jeremiah Show. I'm Kat, your host, along with Jeremiah, of course, and Dr. D, keeping the trains running. How are you guys doing?
Doing very well. Survived the 4th of July and a birthday celebration. So feeling pretty good here in the July already.
Yeah.
How'd that happen, Kat?
Can't believe
Happy birthday again. I know we told you on the last show, but
Richard likes to go the whole month.
It's a month-long thing.
Month.
Yeah,
that's it right there.
We'll be saying this next week and the week after, and the week after.
Happy birthday.
The Cat, you asked how I was. This is no joke. This is no lie. I'm not exaggerating for our guest today. I've had his music on nonstop since yesterday, and I'm just looping it. I just love it. So I'm good because I've been listening.
Which song is getting? He has a few earworms. That's a compliment, right? When it gets stuck in your ear. Which one for you is getting?
Well, I quoted. I hope he doesn't mind. I quoted the. I put his
Capsize.
lyrics up. Yeah, Capsize. I love Capsize.
Yeah,
I love. There's quite a few that I like, but that one has been stuck in my head.
It's interesting how when you hear an album for the first time, there's always like 1 to 3. There's those few songs that kind of show up first. That wherever you're at in your life, you're like, those are the ones. But then I've learned to always reserve room. I always know the other songs are going to come. And that I'll be ready for them, and that they'll become kind of the next favorites or whatever that I'm ready. Yeah,
and they're even better than the first one you hooked on as you listen. They connect with an experience or a feeling or something like that. So, I was sharing with the music with friends, although I haven't, because I know this has not been released yet.
Thank you for
but usually once this drops tomorrow, the album drops, then I'll share it with friends over the weekend, and there's always even more attachment to a particular song. So ask me again next week, Kat. But I'm gonna let you get right to our guest.
Well, this segues beautifully kind of into my intro for our guest today, because one of the benefits of doing this show, and one of the benefits of doing it from Austin, Texas, is that as a music lover, this has just perfectly dropped me into a scene that I love so much, and that is the music scene. And I've gotten a chance to meet just so many great, talented people that kind of run in this. You learn pretty quickly. It's a little microcosm of it's this world of musicians. And
would you guys say Austin right now might be like ground zero for musicians? It feels like it is. It feels like so many great people come out of Austin right now.
Well, it is the live music capital of the world. So yeah, I think that's fair to say. But if I do my job right, I can convince some of these guys and gals to come on the show. And so it looks like I did something right today, because I've brought you Pat Byrne, and I want to read something that was written. He's getting a lot of press about this new album called Into the Light that drops tomorrow. We mentioned that, but I wanted to read a little piece of press because I think it's just really well written. This is from Peter Blackstock from the Austin American-Statesman. He says, "A strong supporting cast helps make Into the Light one of the best sounding singer-songwriter albums to come out of Austin in years. Byrne also sought out key songwriting collaborators with magnificent results. Ben Jones of Beat Root Revival helped him write the album opener, Feeling Indigo, a mid-tempo track with a hypnotically beautiful groove that spotlights the higher end of Byrne's impressive vocal range. Best of all is the folk pop gem called Losing Heart, a co-write with Jamie Harris, who we've had on the show, delivered as a duet. The deep emotionalism of their alternating voices in the verses gives way to rich harmonies in the chorus, bolstered by the dramatic twang of Joshua Grange's pedal steel accents. What ultimately stands out the most, though, is how strong Into the Light is from start to finish. Every track radiates and rewards repeated listening." Again, that was Peter Blackstock from Austin American-Statesman. One of the many, many just brilliant reviews and pieces of press that I've been finding about this new album that, again, Into the Light comes out tomorrow. So without further ado, I don't want to take up all the time. Pat Byrne, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to speak.
An audience
here in the shadows. And
You can
keep
bow
saying
now.
all these nice things. I feel like an asshole not saying thanks. But,
you may speak
thank
now.
You so much.
You know, I was prepping for this interview and I have notes upon notes upon notes. And then I was like, I could do that. We could talk about all things Pat Byrne, or I could just have you read the phone book, because with an accent like that, I think that would be equally as tantalizing.
Well, it sounds like Dr. D is doing a decent job on the accent as well. He's got it going.
You get a lot of accents from Dr. D.
Don't encourage him, by the way.
Don't encourage him. So, Pat, I'm so glad we're able to do this today. This is very much a calculated interview because tomorrow is the big day. So I think the first question to you is, how are you? How are you feeling? Tomorrow's a very big day for you.
I'm great. I've been on the road now for a week. Started the Into the Light East Coast tour. Started the East Coast tour in Baton Rouge, actually, but because it's on the way, and played a really nice show down there. And then I was in New Orleans the day after that, and I'm in Atlanta now. And we're doing a release show tomorrow night here in Atlanta with some friends that live here. We're putting a 6-piece band together, and that's going to be fun. And really, just kind of the release has been building up in my mind for so long. We finished the record before Christmas, and it's a whole lot of work after you finish recording it, trying to get people to hear it and get some attention and traction behind the album. So I'm just excited to finally get it out there. I'm ready for people to hear it. So
yeah. What's the best way, you know, with the music business, the way that it is now with streaming, and, you know, that's a very common conversation. What is the best way for someone to support you specifically with this album and buy the album? Like, what is the best way for someone to actually pay for this music?
Well, there are ways that are more supportive than others, and one of those is Bandcamp, where we get a large percentage of if you pay $10 for an album, I think we get like $7 or something like that, as opposed to Spotify, where you can listen to it 1,000,000 times and I might get $2, you know. So Bandcamp is great, and then also just coming to a show and buying the physical CD off me. That's ultimately what I want, because I'm really proud of the packaging and the artwork, and it's got some cool liner notes in there. So that's my preferred way of distributing music. But also, I'm just happy if you're listening to it. If you're streaming it on Spotify and adding it to your playlist and things like that, that's great. I just want people to hear it.
Yeah, awesome. Good. Well, so excited. And you do have your tour. So you're in Atlanta tomorrow. Where are you playing in Atlanta tomorrow for your big release?
It's a venue called In Town Coffee House, which is downtown. I think it's near Decatur. And it's almost like a house concert vibe. They open it up for concerts, and it's a pretty small room. I think it might be 80 capacity. And I have friends that live here in Atlanta, and we play anytime I pass through, we play together. So really excited to play with them again. And it's their first time playing these songs. So a bit nervous. We're having our first rehearsal tonight, and then one rehearsal and then the gig. So I'm confident it'll be good. They're all great.
Yeah, you're going to be just fine. And then where do you head up after that?
I'm at a place called the Evening Muse in Charlotte, North Carolina on Monday. And then after that, I go to Washington, D.C. and play in a place called Farm Brew Live. And then I'm in New York City for a while. I have a couple of shows up there. And then I'm up in Boston. And I'm actually going to Portland, Maine. I got a last minute gig up there.
Excellent.
And then I'm turning around and coming back down and going through Nashville and Memphis. I have a whole list of tour dates on my website.
Yeah,
it's exciting to be on the road again after so long.
I would imagine so. We're going to make sure we push that so people know where you are and when they can catch you live like that. You spent some time in Nashville, didn't you, before you came to Austin? Is that correct? We're going to dive into the map of your of your journey here, but you did spend some time in Nashville, right?
Yeah, I've spent little periods there. I've never lived there. I pretty much moved straight to Austin. It's the only place I've lived in the States. But when I got here first, I did a little tour and did some shows in Nashville, and I've returned a few times to play those venues, and did Americana Fest right before the lockdown happened. Yeah, I love going through Nashville. It's an incredible place. And that song you mentioned, that song Losing Heart, I wrote with Jamie. She lives there now, and so I hung out with her for a while and we wrote that song together in Nashville. So excited to get back there. And that's where I recorded the album. So I lived there for a week when we did the album, and I was back and forth to Nashville, mixing it and adding extra parts and things like that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about, I mean, you're from Ireland, that much is obvious.
Yes.
And you came over here in, I want to say in like late 2017. Is that correct?
Yeah, just as like a holiday. You know, I was just traveling around the States and had a friend that lived in Houston, so visited him, and he brought me to Austin, and I immediately just kind of fell in love with it. I couldn't shake the place. I got back to Ireland and just couldn't stop thinking about Austin, and I knew I wanted to live there. And kind of just tied up my loose ends, stopped accepting gigs back home, and moved over to become a songwriter, which was kind of scary because Austin, as you said, is the live music capital. There's lots of incredibly talented people there, and I was coming in as a man who had never written a song. I never wrote a song until I moved to Austin.
Wow.
So that was the life I wanted, and I just kind of forced myself to move over here, and it was pretty terrifying, but it's worked out really, really well.
I'd say it's worked out. Let's go back a little bit, because I want to understand little Pat Byrne. What kind of kid were you, and where does that gumption come from of like going, I mean, that's quite a spark inside of you to just, because that's a big move. It's not like moving somewhere, you know, within a country, right? I mean, that's a big culture shock. It's a big everything. So talk to us a little about what kind of kid were you? I mean, were you always into music, or?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, being Irish, is that just woven into the culture piece? And that's why?
I mean, I've grown to appreciate that when you move out of Ireland, we're a very musical culture. Everyone has a song that they sing. They may not be the best singer, but you know, everyone knows so many of the same songs. We have a great folk music history. Like the tradition surrounding pubs is a really warm, actually beautiful tradition where we kind of grow up in the pub. That's where we have our occasions, and there's always a fiddle or a mandolin, and there's a session happening in the corner by the fireside. We just grow up around that kind of poetry and musicianship. And from an early age, my parents kind of pushed me towards music. I think they noticed they had some kind of inkling, and you know, they just surrounded me with keyboards and little small guitars and things. And I started playing drums in the local marching band when I was 7, and joined the school orchestra and all those things. And then eventually when I was 16, they got me a guitar, and I just started singing to myself in my bedroom, you know, a lot of Johnny Cash. And eventually got the confidence to sing in front of people and never turned back. I just started playing gigs immediately, and that's been my job since I was 16. I never had to get any kind of 9-to-5 or part-time work even. I was lucky to pay my way through college. Yeah, but I never wrote. I was never a writer. I suppose I didn't believe in myself, or I didn't think it was in me. And then as the years go past, I'm playing cover songs. Thank you so much. Well, I was 28 when I wrote my first song, and I was a fan of songwriters. You know, my heroes were guys like Tom Waits and Warren Zevon and Springsteen and Dylan, and so I knew what a good song was. And I felt like I trusted myself to know if I was writing a bad song, and that stood to me. And I just moved over here and just started doing it. I feel like I had to get away from Ireland and have like this fresh start where no one knew who I was, and I could become a writer without feeling too self-conscious or insecure about what I was putting out. So
I was going to ask you if
what I was like when I was a kid.
Well, I mean, I was going to ask you, growing up in an environment like that, which sounds so lovely and amazing and just cozy with the pubs and the fiddles and just all of that. But I was wondering if there was a piece of you that kind of felt like you needed to see the contrast and to step out and see kind of the negative space of that. And I guess coming here, was that for you?
I mean, initially it was just that I wanted to travel and see some of the States. Like my favorite, I'm obsessed with Americana, like all my favorite musicians and TV and movies, you know, it all comes from the States. And I always wanted to come and travel around and see it. And then when I was here, there's a whole appreciation for original music that exists in Austin that I haven't seen anywhere else. And it doesn't, while Ireland is a very musical place, the kind of appreciation for original songs isn't held in as high regard as it is over here. So it's much harder to make a living writing original music unless you have big hits on the radio, or you're some kind of international act. You can't really make a living doing your own stuff because it's such a small population. Whereas here you can have like mid-level success. You write your own stuff, you travel around the States, and people want to come hear your own music. And it's, when I saw that was possible, that's what I wanted to do. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Texas. I really do.
What do you remember, like when you first came to Austin, what specifically like could you not shake? What was it? What was it that just kind of hooked you?
It's so much. I mean, it's the venues, you know, every venue had a great sound system. Like something as small as that, it was almost taken for granted here. You go in, there's a beautiful sound. The crowd are sitting quietly listening to what the musicians are saying. Every place I went had a really great singer-songwriter or guitar player or pianist. And I just had never seen anything like that. And that's what I couldn't shake. I was lucky to go to Don's Depot. It was one of the first places I went. You know Don's?
Yeah.
And Chris Gage has held down like a Monday night residency there for 30 years or something. And I fortunately Monday night got there and told her I was a singer from Ireland, and she whispered in Chris's ear and he got me up to sing a song. And I ended up doing like 5 or 6 songs with him that night. And then that became a tradition for me. I went there every Monday night, and just things like that. It was such an open, friendly community, and people, you know, there was so much collaboration happening, and it was just like nothing I'd seen. So I wanted to live there. I wanted to be immersed in that.
I love that. Is it possible, does everybody, and I know this sounds probably maybe stupid, but like, it just feels like every Irish person I've ever known or heard sing can sing. I mean, is it just because you guys grow up in a pub singing around the fire and the like that everyone that is Irish is there a bad singer? Is there a bad singer in Ireland?
Yes.
And if so, tell me their name. I'm just kidding.
There are terrible singers in Ireland. My parents, there's 2.
I'm a horrible singer.
Yeah, everyone says that to me, and I suppose because we're such a small country and we do put out a lot of great artists, and maybe per head of population we have more good singers than anywhere else, but when you grow up in Ireland you don't see it that way. It's just like most people can't sing. But
I didn't know that you all grew up in pubs.
Oh
yeah, we do.
Every one of you, huh?
Well,
it's like daycare.
Back in my day, absolutely. Yeah, you get a bottle of Coke and a packet of crisps, and you just sit in the corner with the other kids. And,
I wonder if it's so
but
happy.
It's not. Well, have you been to Ireland? Have you been to a pub in Ireland?
I have not yet. I'm threatening it to take the show next year on the road. We've got a friend that has a little hotel, a musician, Flavia. We want to take the show over there and do it. But no, I haven't been. But Richard, Dr. D's been here a couple times.
Yep. I was there. I have to say that's one of my favorite places, is to be in a pub. I don't care what you're talking about. I will sit and listen to you talk all day long. There's just something about that Irish lilt in the voice. And I was talking with a guy from Northern Ireland. He was here in the States, and he says, "What is it?" He says, "I ask this question of a lot of people who visit Ireland." He says, "What is it? What is it that you like most about Ireland?" And he told me he gets the same answer from everyone, even before I answered his question. I said, "It's the people." I said, it's the warm embrace, if you will, the acceptance. We had some people who pulled us over in Dublin when we were working our way down towards County Cork, County Waterford, and to a bed and B&B. And they said, "Are you guys lost?" And we said, well, sort of, kind of. How did you know? He says, "Because your indicator's on." And of course, I didn't know at first what an indicator was. It's a turn signal. But and it's like, okay, well, here's what you do. And then they were very helpful. And going into the pubs, it's a wonderful place to just to hang out, have a pint. And by the way, there is no better Guinness than a Guinness in an Irish pub because it's in Ireland.
Absolutely.
That made Pat perk up a little bit. He sat up straight when you said that.
Pat, do you get homesick when you hear?
I do get homesick. I love Ireland for the reasons Dr. D just spelled out there. The people are amazing. And, you know, it might sound funny to say kids are raised in pubs, but it's honestly a different thing in Ireland. It's like stepping into someone's living room. It's like, while it's also probably not the best thing because you get very accustomed to drinking, and it's there's definitely a lot more drinkers in Ireland, and it's just like, I didn't realize how much I drank till I moved here, and my girlfriend's like, "Are you actually that?" Like, she doesn't drink at all, really, and so I get pretty wasted from time to time. Which at home, you know, no one would think twice about that. That's just a weekend, you know. Oh, you were hammered. Okay, great.
Yeah.
She's just like, that's insane what you're doing to yourself. So yeah, we definitely drink more because of it. But I just, I love Ireland. I get homesick. I haven't been home in 2 years because of the pandemic, obviously. I'm hoping to get back for Christmas. But yeah, I really do love Ireland. I'm very proud and happy to be from there.
Well, on that note, we're going to take our first break. We're going out with a song called Precious Cargo, which I was just telling Pat really briefly on the phone, literally made me cry. Now, I was drinking some wine, but I don't think it was the wine. But I had listened to the whole, you know, album that was sent to me, and Precious Cargo is the last one. And it just, it's like all the feelings that you made me feel throughout the whole album. And then that song, it was like, oh my God, I'm such a goner. So do you want to just say like a quick little thing about that song? And as we kind of go out to this first break to that.
Yeah, I wrote that after meeting my girlfriend's parents in New Jersey. I'd been with her for a year, and I'm madly in love with her, and I couldn't wait to meet her parents. And they're like they're an Italian American family, and I love The Sopranos, and so I was couldn't wait to get up and hang out with these Italians in New Jersey. And I booked a gig at the Saint in Asbury Park. I'm a big Springsteen fan, and I thought, this is how I'll impress her parents. I'll sell out a venue in Asbury Park, and I'll like wear denim top to toe, and I'll be a rock star. But no one showed up to the gig at all except her parents. So it was just me and the two of them. And I did a full gig. I never got to shake their hand or say hello. I just did a full 2-hour gig to them. And they were really nice. And it was an awkward situation, but he just pulled me aside, her dad, and said, look, you got Precious Cargo. You better shape up and take care of her. And I wrote that song, and it kept me out of the Hudson River. I've been in their good books ever since.
You know what? And they're going to remember that as when they can't get a ticket at your concerts one day. Yeah. Remember that they had you serenading them.
That's right.
But that's a beautiful story behind that song.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, with that,
thank you.
We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to The Jeremiah Show with special guest Pat Byrne. New album coming out tomorrow called Into the Light. We will hook you up with everywhere to get it. But in the meantime, here's Precious Cargo. We'll be right back after this.
Hey, Kat.
Yes.
Do you want to do the commercial, or do you want me to do the commercial?
Yeah, I can.
Which one? You want to do it?
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to record that real quick right now?
Yeah, sure. It's probably easier to drop it in now, right, Richard, for you. And I just noticed here it's available on Spotify, Apple, and all your favorite music platforms. You might want to mention Bandcamp too, because he makes more money there.
Yes.
Just since we got that inside tip, a lot of the musicians say that we should really start promoting.
Really start pushing that a little bit more. Yeah, or a lot more. All right, Dr. D, let me know when you're ready, and I'll.
Okay. All right, hang on just a moment. I must take care of some work here.
You're not cleaning up that word asshole, are you?
I'm cleaning up that word asshole. Yes.
Leave it in.
Oh no.
Can't.
So I'm not, no profanities here.
Because it's radio.
When we get to the podcast overtime portion,
you can swear like a drunken sailor.
It's so fun.
Okay.
I'll give you the cue, okay?
I would just keep swearing. keep doing beats. It's kind of fun.
That's right. Okay, so Kat, you wanted to record the commercial?
Yeah, it's just a real quickie. Yeah.
All right, everyone, quiet on the set. Stand by in 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Pat Byrne's Into the Light album comes out Friday, July 9th. It's available on Spotify, Apple, and all your favorite music platforms, especially Bandcamp. Go to patbyrnemusic.com for all things Pat Byrne. Tour dates, links to download the album, check out his latest videos, sign up for his email list, access his bio, and more. But be sure to follow him on Facebook at Pat Byrne Official and Instagram at pat.byrne.
Okay, good deal. Good
Okay.
deal. Let me do another fancy little thing here.
Where are you at now, Pat, today?
Yeah, Pat.
I'm in Atlanta.
Atlanta. That's why you said you're playing in Atlanta tomorrow. I'm like, but you live in Austin?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I'm traveling up to New York and coming back and go out for 6 weeks.
Oh, 6 weeks. Wow.
Do you have a
Yeah.
house up in Atlanta? That house?
No, my friend John Harris, who's a wonderful singer-songwriter, and he's playing guitar with me tomorrow. I'm staying with him for a few days as well.
I thought that wall of guitars looked like a musician's house.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it is a musician's house.
All right, we're all set here. In three,
Bring us back. Okay.
in 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. Special guest today is Pat Byrne. New album out tomorrow called Into the Light. We are so excited to bring this to you. You just heard a new song on that album called Katie. Pat, you want to tell us a little bit about that song?
Yeah, I started writing that a few years ago after like a string of short-lived relationships, and I suppose I just honed in on one particular scene, like a back and forth with a girl where, yeah, I kind of got the feeling I wasn't treating girls in the best way. I kind of was a bit selfish in relationships, and I just it's really just a scene. It's just a conversation and an argument. And at first I wasn't sure if it was even a song, but then it just grew on me. And I think the arrangement sounds really nice. There's a really beautiful cello arrangement in there. And yeah, so I suppose it's just about turbulent and not quite good relationships.
Yeah. I want to use this next segment to really kind of dig into the music. And I listened to Rituals, which was the album before this one. Yeah. And then I listened to Into the Light. And there's a through line. Obviously, it's you, it's singing, it sounds like you. But I was telling Ted, your manager, I was like, Into the Light feels like when I listen to that, I can see it. It's just bigger. Like I hear more songs on that album. I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but sound like they're played with a bigger band. It's just like fuller and bigger. And talking a little bit about about that song Katie, where there's I think that's a really mature thing for you to do, is to write a song about like where maybe you could have been better. Like that's not something that every writer has the cojones to do and to put out there. Like as a woman, that's really impressive that you would have the self-awareness and self-reflection and then self-confidence to put a song like that out, which just kind of takes me to, I want to talk about Rituals, the album before this one. And I also obviously want to talk about Into the Light, but just felt like Into the Light was just bigger and deeper and more mature. And I don't mean that in a way to sound like everything else wasn't mature, wasn't as big, but do you know what I'm saying? Do you feel that?
I would say the same. I mean, as I said, I hadn't written a song, and I just moved to Austin, and I was like, right, well, I need to make an album. I'm not a songwriter if I don't have any songs. And I locked myself away for 6 months and wrote 7 songs, and that's all I ever wrote, and that's what Rituals is.
Yeah.
So it kind of was me learning how to write. And while I still really like it, and there are songs in there I'm super proud of and I still play, that's like the first songs you do, and then they're gone, and then you kind of grow as a writer. And Into the Light is like, I'd been writing for 3 years, and so I picked my favorite 11 that kind of told this story and that felt like they lived in the same world. And also, we recorded it live in Nashville with like an amazing band, and that's always going to make things feel fuller and more alive and like they have more depth. Whereas Rituals, I loved the recording process, but it was in a smaller studio in Austin, and we tracked things one at a time. It wasn't like a live band playing together. So,
right.
I mean, that will do a lot for a record.
Did the music soul of Nashville add to that sound too, do you think? Just knowing you're in that.
Yeah, for sure. It was right in the middle of COVID, so nothing was open. So I can't say I was really living the Nashville life at the time. I drove up. We were all in our masks. We were totally separated. We didn't get close to each other. But the room itself has there's been incredible records made there. REM recorded there. I don't know why I said REM first. There's like a whole string of legendary people. It's one of the best. And I love REM, but I'm in Atlanta and they keep coming up here. So
on the brain.
Anyway, yeah. So, but when you're in a room like that and you're seeing those photos of amazing singer-songwriters all around you, and there's just something in the air. And yeah, the Nashville players are like, there's nowhere in the world like Nashville for live musicians and like session musicians. That just elevated the songs to a whole new level. I cried several times because I'd been singing those songs by myself in live streams. That's the only life they had. And then you sit in a circle with these 6 incredible people who play with Willie Nelson and Sheryl Crow, and they're playing your songs, and they just become real life things. And it was really heartwarming. It was one of the best experiences of my life.
Very
well,
cool.
I want to talk about, we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to take us out with a song that you wrote with Miles Zuniga called I Would Have Done It For You. Tell us a little bit about how it was, because, we were talking before the show. Tell us what it was like working with Miles.
I absolutely love Miles Zuniga. He's one of my favorite people.
What are you laughing at, Kat?
Keep going.
Why is she laughing?
I'm laughing too. He's just, if you know Miles, it's hard not to laugh. He's just such a one-of-a-kind character. He's this curmudgeonly kind of very honest, says it how it is. I'm lucky he likes me.
We love Miles.
He adores you. He adores you.
Yeah,
Miles closes every one of our shows. He takes us out.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What song?
Yeah, he just says it's Miles.
Is it Miles?
Miles loves you. It's just a little plug, a little radio drop, but we close it with him. We like him. We love him.
Nice.
Some people
so he's going to be
more
on
than
after
others.
me. That's great. He's been a real mentor to me. He's got a lot of wisdom. He's been doing this all his life. He's seen it all. He's been at every level of success. And I'm very lucky to call him a friend. And when I arrived to town first, he called me and he was like, do you want to go to Marfa with me? I didn't know who he was. And he invited me to go to Marfa and do some writing and recording. And that's the song. I had these like 11 verses for I Would Have Done It For You. I just thought it was this kind of quirky, silly thing that I was working on, and it didn't have a chorus. And he came in and just gifted me this chorus. Like, I'd been working on it for years, and he was like, I know what the chorus is. And he just sang it. And then the song was finished. I'd been writing it for like 4 years, and then it took Miles Zuniga 2 minutes to finish the thing. And he kind of just tidied up some of the verses and got rid of a lot of the stuff he didn't like. And efficient writer, and he's a really intelligent writer. And yeah, I've learned a lot from working with him.
Awesome. Well, here you go. I Would Have Done It For You by Pat Byrne and Miles Zuniga. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to The Jeremiah Show.
All right, you're clear.
That's another one of my favorites. Kat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I may, I've got a question for Pat.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, how are we doing on your question, Nina? I just want to make sure you've got 15 minutes. Are you good with that?
Oh, yeah.
Pat, yeah, you got the time, and you're good, Kat? You on track?
Kat, yeah, you said Kat. Okay, yeah, I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back to The Jeremiah Show. We're here with special guest Pat Byrne for his new album coming out tomorrow called Into the Light. We're learning about Pat and all things Ireland and music. And we just came back in with, I think, Jeremiah's current favorite song from this album called Capsize. Do you want to tell us a little bit? That's a happy song.
It's very,
it's a happy song. Yeah.
Before you do though, Pat, I just love these. I love the, I'm the ripple in your drink. That's, to me, is an awesome line. I'm the smile that's out of sync, and I'm the rainbow at your funeral. I love that line too. Just there's a lot of great lines in there, but a couple of them I think are so original and just instant, for me, instant hits. Things I love to sing and repeat in my head.
That means a lot, man. Thanks a lot. I've been writing all these very serious, depressing songs. I send it to my parents. My parents are my biggest fans. They have always supported me. It's all they ever wanted me to do, and I send every song to them. And at one point, they were like, "Can you please write something happy? We can't listen to this anymore." I'd send songs. I don't know if you know.
It's raining here. It's dark.
Right. Like there's songs like When's It Gonna End, which is kind of about alcoholism. And then there's the Win, Lose or Drown, which is like a depression song, literally. And then, so they were like, please just write something happy. So I started Capsize almost just as a joke. I was like, all right, I'm going to give you the happiest sounding thing ever and you're going to hate it. And I just came up with that riff and then I started writing and I was like, actually, I really like this. And there are kind of melancholy undertones to the song. It's kind of about the path I took in life and how hard it can be, but ultimately how happy I am I did it. I kind of saw Capsize as a command and just to, not worry about staying afloat, just do what you love and everything will work out kind of message,
Mm-hmm.
But because I was so lighthearted coming into it and I wasn't taking it that seriously, those kind of lines, like, I speak in Roman numerals and just kind of silly things came out. And then I just felt like there was more meaning to them than I even intended there to be. And when I listened back to the song, I was like, this is actually, I'm really proud of these lyrics. So yeah, thanks for noticing that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those anthem songs that people are for the underdog. And hey, when everybody's knocking you around, I'm doing it my way kind of songs, like an old Frank Sinatra song. It's good. I really liked it. It's catchy. It's catchy too.
And it's
really
also catchy. Well, it has that too. It's catchy and it sounds uplifting. And lots of people told me they've added it to like their day drinking playlist. And so I don't have many songs like that, so that's working in my favor.
Doctor, do you have a day drinking playlist?
Day drinking playlist. I don't think so.
We do need
to
that.
do.
They do in Ireland.
Of course they do.
They do.
That's just called a playlist.
That's just a playlist. That's right.
That's just a playlist. Yeah.
Oh,
did you have a question, Dr. D? Did you get it in?
Yeah. I do indeed. You mentioned a couple of things that I wanted to dovetail off of. I am actually with a good friend of mine. I am actually working on writing my first song. And I got to tell you, you said you took 6 months off, and part of me is going, what do you mean? And you only came up with 7 songs only? And then
those are good.
And well, I understand. Yes,
those are actually good, Dr. D.
But now I'm sitting here working on and you mentioned too that everyone in Ireland has their own song that they sing, whether they sing good or not, it's their song kind of thing, right? That's what I'm working on with this particular individual. And so I'm sitting here and I'm trying to put it together. I don't really read music. I'm learning from her how to put the notes on the page and so forth, and then the symbols for repeat this line, repeat this bridge, and so forth. And it ain't easy to put together, in spite of the fact that I've heard interviews with other artists who say, oh yeah, in 5 minutes I wrote that down on a napkin in an airplane flying from here to there or something like that. And it's just, and sometimes they just come like that. What is your song, and do you have Pat's anthem, shall we say? Have you written that yet? And if so, how hard was that for you to write? Did it just come, or did you struggle with it? Because like I said, I've been working on mine now for several months. It may go on another few months for all I know.
Yeah.
Years, but tell me about that.
Well, I mean, there's songs I'm working on now that I've been working on for years. It comes in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes you'll write, like, there's some songs on the record that took me an hour to write, and there's some I'd been writing since I started writing, and I just go back and add things or change things. I never feel like they're fully finished, so I'm always working on them in the background. But someone like Miles will tell you, you just sit down and finish the song, no matter how it sounds, even if you don't like it, just finish it, and then it's done, and you move on. And I just I'm not able to let go like that. I just kind of, I'm too precious about them. And when I moved here first, I was kind of insecure about my writing. I was 28 and I didn't want to release something I didn't love, and I didn't want to put myself up for that kind of scrutiny. So that's why it took me so long that first time. The song I'm most proud of is a song called Only a Man. That's I just wrote it recently, so it's not on the record. And that came out of me really easily because the idea for the song came from a movie. Someone just said this line that sparked it, and I wrote it in my phone. And the next day, I already knew what I wanted it to be about. It just took that little spark, and I wrote it that morning, and I've been playing it at my shows. And that's probably the song I'm most proud of right now. And other than that, maybe Precious Cargo. I'm really proud of Precious Cargo. That's the one I look forward to playing the most, and it really means a lot to me, So
yeah.
But in terms of how long it takes, I would never put pressure on yourself. It's anyone who says they write songs really quickly, I'm sure that's not how all their songs come.
No.
Like, there's so many different techniques and ways of doing it. And sometimes I've written a song without touching the guitar. I just have the idea in my head, and I'm driving, and I'm coming up with verses while driving. And sometimes I'll sit at a desk and write and write and write. It's just, it can come.
And I am so appreciative of artists who are writing music or songwriters, especially when it comes down to, and maybe this is more the producer's end of it, but you were talking about one song where you heard this in the one song that has the cello and so forth. Do you hear the music in your head as you are creating, or is somebody else there with you? You collaborate and say, hey, this would sound good in there, and that would sound good in there, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's a mix. I mean, for that song with the cello, Katie, that I always heard that as a kind of majestic waltz. So I wanted it to have that string feel. I wanted it to feel like it could be in a big ballroom where everyone's dressed up, And I heard that line, and I wrote that line, and I just sent it to a cello player, and he played it, and it was gorgeous. But, at the same time, you can have a song and your producer hears something totally different, and you just love it. And when you hear it, you're like, wow, that's what I should have done. Like for I Would Have Done It For You, I always knew I'd struggle with executing it because it's kind of a weird song. Like when I play it with bands, they don't really know what to do. And so Billy Harvey, the producer, just had that simple idea of like just brushes on a snare drum, and it kind of gradually builds, and then the chorus has all these harmonies that he added in. So yeah, it depends. Sometimes you have the whole picture in your mind before you even go to the studio, and sometimes it evolves into something totally different.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take our last break, and we're going to go out with this beautiful, beautiful duet with Jamie Harris, who we've had the pleasure of having on our show. She's so lovely, called Losing Heart. You want to just give us a little blip about what it was like working with Jamie? She's so awesome.
Yeah, I was already a fan of Jamie before I met her. People had been talking to me about her, and I'd listened to her music, and I just think she's really incredible. Her voice is one in a million. Her writing is great. I had this chorus for a while that I was doing nothing with, but I thought it was a good chorus. And so when I met her, she actually asked me if I'd write a song with her, which I was so humbled by. And I met up with her and showed her that idea, and she liked it too. And so we finished it together. And then the icing on the cake was that she was willing to come in and sing it as well. So initially it was just going to be me singing the whole song, but it's so much better now that she's in it. When I heard her part, I was like, wow, she really should just sing the whole thing. It's like the best sounding part of the song is when she comes in. But I'm just lucky to have her.
Yeah. Well, for those of you listening, enjoy this song with Pat Byrne featuring Jamie Harris called Losing Heart. And we will be right back after this. You're listening to The Jeremiah Show.
Okay, and our final segment.
We only have about basically 4 minutes.
Right.
Okay.
Because we got somebody tied up at 1:00. Right at the hour.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Pat, you got to come back, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No.
I'd love to.
Absolutely. Okay.
I love that.
Let's do this thing here. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. We are so sad that it's almost over, but don't go yet. We still have a few more minutes left with Pat Byrne. We just came back in with a song called When's It Gonna End? Tell us a little bit quick about that one.
I wrote it the morning after my 30th birthday. I was just super hungover. I was the most drunk I've gotten in a long time. And my girlfriend really wasn't happy with me. And so I wrote that song in like 2 hours. It's the most lyrics I've ever written. And they just spilled out with me in like 2 hours because I was just saying exactly how I felt and describing the night's actions, and that's how that one came about. Yeah.
So we're, like I said, we only have a few minutes left. I hate to be, because I know you're enjoying this moment. You have a big album coming out, but there also is this kind of thing in show business where you kind of have to be like, all right, next, what's next? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so while you're simultaneously enjoying what's about to kind of happen, because I know this album is just going to do all kinds of amazing things, what is on the horizon for Pat Byrne? What do you want? What are you manifesting? What are your dream collaborations? Make it happen. Manifest it here on air for us. And we will help you make it happen.
It will be done.
I mean, I suppose I just kind of want to keep doing what I'm doing. I feel really good about how things are going. I'm proud of the album. I want to keep touring in front of more people that I haven't met. Ultimately, that's really what I want, just to get introduced to more people and play as much as I can. I don't know if I'll make a record for a while because it's such a huge undertaking, like time-wise, financially, it's a lot to take on. While it's my favorite thing to do, I'd love to make an album. I don't know if it's realistic. So I'm always writing songs. I'll probably keep releasing singles over the next year or two and then think about the next album. But really, I'm just trying to stay focused and enjoy everything that's going on. It's been really fun.
Is there anyone you want to give a thank you to or a shout out? I know that this takes a village and you have such a wonderful one. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of them and just the friends and collaborators. Do you want to just take these last minute to
Well, my manager, Ted Lundgren, who you've been speaking with, is just my guardian angel. He's the reason I'm here. And without him and his wife, Susan, nothing would happen. They kind of take care of everything. They're my logistical people and they're just amazing. And also the producer, Billy Harvey, who he just is incredible. I'd love to work with him again. Anyone who's looking for a producer, go to Billy Harvey in Nashville because he just is so creative. I trusted him so completely and he added his touch to everything.
Awesome. Well, we are going to listen to the final song, and this was the first one that really got stuck in my ear. It's called Feeling Indigo. This is the radio premiere, actually. So thank you for letting us do that for you. And we're going to go out with the entire song called Feeling Indigo. Jeremiah, you want to put a cap on this and say your final words?
And as he does that, I will just say this to Pat: Slán Gafal.
Hey, Kerrville Folk.
Whoa.
What does that mean?
I have no idea what's happening.
A million thank yous.
That's right. And goodbye until later, basically.
Aww.
Well, I just wanted to say, Kat, since you let me and Richard took a turn, thanks for turning back on my mic. I appreciate that, Dr. D. I was like, I'm mouthing things. This is, like we said, the Jeremiah Show. Pat let us premiere on the Jeremiah Show world premiere globally. It's streaming globally tonight. It's on air tonight on radio. You're hearing it now. You're hearing the whole album before it's released tomorrow, July 9th. So I just wanted to say thanks for trusting us with your music and letting us put it out there in the airwaves tonight, Pat. And you've been such a great guest. Really love the music, and one of my favorite new artists. This is why I love this show, because Kat, you introduced me to Pat, and now it's in my playlist, my day drinking playlist. Enjoy
your day drinking playlist.
enjoy
thank you
enjoy
so
the
much.
premiere, and we'll talk to you
Pat,
soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
listen
Thanks
more,
for listening,
and evolve. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy the music.